Alright, you're welcome again in this section of JavaScript class. Here we'll be dealing with some basic operators in JavaScript, mainly add, addition, minus, square, divide, and multiply. These are some basic operations in mathematics, and we intend to use JavaScript in combination with HTML and CSS to build out a simple calculator that can just do these five basic mathematical operations on numbers when numbers are passed to them. All right, just for an intro, this is my UI, and this is an input element that has a number type, which you can see here in my HTML. Here is it in the div here. It has a number type. So if I put any letter, it won't go. So by so doing, I'm able to restrict the user from passing anything other than letter, or anything other than number rather. If it passes a letter or alphabet, it doesn't work. It cannot, the input cannot accept it. All right. Then we'll have some buttons here, which we'll play around with. All right. So if we want to do any mathematical operation, whether addition, minus, square, divide, or multiplication, also provide the two data that are required, and click any of these buttons, we'll be able to have a mathematical operation performed on the numbers. And here it will be our screen. This is a default value. So our screen will be the value or the result of the operation will be displayed here. All right. Okay, we can give it a test. This is 2 times or 2 plus 3. We hit addition here, it gives us 5, and this is the addition operation. Okay, if I provide another value, also 22 minus 10 or 19, 70 minus 10, if it's a minus here, it gives us our result as 12, which is correct. Then if we take OK, we'll have 11 here, and take a hit a divide, it gives us 2, which is actually correct. Also, take note, here is square. For a square value, we may not need 2 numbers to do a square value. One input element serves. In other words, the first input element is what we will concentrate on. So I remove this. I come to this place and possibly pass 4, and I square it. It gives me 16. Telling that the square root of this is now this. All right. So that is that about our mathematical operation on JavaScript. Then when we move over to the code, yes. So as I've described in my UI, then we'll have 2 elements. Then we'll have this 2 input element and a div element here. And this div element is what I've selected here. This one is from this place, while our input I'm selecting by ID is for this input. Let me refresh this and get back my input. All right, this one is for input, this input, while this is for the second input element. Okay, so Then there are some other ones I've selected, the case and the sign paragraphs, which I have on this place. This sign paragraphs comes from here. There's a sign, I pass the sign operation here. You can find that here. Alright. So I'm giving it the input, the operation, I'm giving it a font size of 160%, and that's why it is that big. Okay, so if that is understood, then here is the buttons. I pick my buttons. Here I'm using not I'm not selecting by ID. Now I'm selecting by tag name, selecting by all the buttons at a go. For check out here, I have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 buttons for each of the operations. So I have to write ID for each of them and get element by ID, about 5 of it, in this JavaScript code to be able to have access to these 5 buttons here. But in a shorter way to do that, I have to get elements. You can see this is plural by tag name, and the tag name is button, which is a generic element name for all the buttons on the page. So this gives me an array of buttons which I store up in this btn. So in this btn variable, I'm having an array of buttons, about 5 of them, from index 0. If you can remember our array, it started from index 0 upward. So from index 0 to index 4. So if I console log it here, which you can see here on line 83, and look at our console, you'll discover that we all have this thing here. Let me see, do a console, open the dev tool here. All right, and let me do my console. Okay, this is my console. Okay, and here I go. This is the button. I've selected one button here, which is index 0. So let me get rid of this and just load. My breakpoint is on. Let me off it, and I just console log the btn. Here you go. You can see all of them here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm able to get all the buttons with just a single get element by tag name, and that saves me about 5 lines of code. Is that all right? Okay, that being said, we'll turn back, and when I use the index, which you saw earlier, I can access each of them. Index 0 will give me the first one, which is add. Index 1 will give me the second one, which is minus. Index 2 will give me the third one, which is square. Index 3 will give me the fourth one, which is divide. And then index 4 give me the fifth one, which is multiplication. And that's how it goes. That's quite concise. That's JavaScript for you. You can handle a lot of things as you learn and grow. All right, yeah, I'm beginning to add an event listener to each of the buttons. An event listener to each of the buttons from index 0 to index 4. And with this, event listener is attached to them, listening for an event, click. And once the event click happens on any of on this button index 0, which is the add button. Once you listen to this event click, you execute this callback immediately. Execute this function inside the add event listener. All right, and the function is execute. Once you execute this will be called for add value, and therefore I'm passing in the input value of the input element, that is the value that is passed here. So for this is 2. Now this value here will be 2, and this is a 3. The value here will be 3, and with this I'm executing the code immediately, and it does the addition. And where does this execute? You can find this here. Here is it here. Here is it on line 111. Add values. I defined it here, passing my parameters num1, num2, which is a variable that will hold the values. So on line 112, I ensure to use a pass int, which is a JavaScript method we use to convert strings to numbers, strings that has numbers in it, and to ensure that they are numbers actually, because there's peculiarity of a plus operator. It can act as a joining operator, and it can also act as a addition operator. So for that reason, the value that comes from this input is actually in a string format. If we work without using a pass int to convert it to a number, then what we'll have here as a result will be 23, because the plus operator will no longer act as an addition operator. Instead, it will act as a joining operator, and you just pick 2 and 3 and join them together, concatenate it, and it becomes 23. So in order to avoid that, to prevent that bug, we have to use a pass int to convert them to a number. Alright, but you discover that on subsequent operators like plus, like minus, square, divide, multiplication, I didn't use pass int, because those ones are specifically for mathematical operation, and they serve the purpose of the operator in the code. That's what you can see here on line 20. I didn't use a pass int for them, but for plus operator, it has a dual job in JavaScript as a joining operator, concatenation operator, or an addition operator, which is a mathematical operation. Alright, so that being said, I just take this signed paragraph and ensure that to inform my user that what operation I'm performing here is a plus. If I hit here, you can see plus sign shows up. I use this to pass a plus sign to this paragraph, an element that is here, so that it will let the user know that the operation that you have performed on the number is a plus operator. Then access the element there and pass it the text content, put a plus sign there. Then show message, I call a show message method, which I have defined earlier, to show this message and output it, the result on the web page, and that's what you can see here. So simply take the sum and pass it to the show message, and then output it here as brief as possible. Alright, that is for addition, adding of the values, and the same thing goes for each of the operations. Here you can see the same thing as well. Index 1, which means where I arrange it, minus will be here, and I call the minus value, passing the value of the input and passing the value of the second input, and it does mathematical operation. And here it gives me -1, 2 minus 3 is actually -1, and that is correct. And remember, I'm executing this function here, but I defined it down here, minus in line 1 to 7. And here you can see that this is num1, num2, and this is the way I perform the operation difference. Stop writing them, then passing the text content minus sign to inform the user of the mathematical operation that has been done on the numbers. Then afterwards, I show my result to the web page. which is -1, is passed to the diff variable. All right, so these are all the methods that does the mathematical operation for us: addition, multiplication, minus, divide values, square values, and all of them. So these are the event listeners on each of the buttons when they are triggered. And once that is done, it calls the method that does the mathematical operation, and that carries out the work and outputs the result here. All right, we'll stop here for now, and a brief explanation will be given later again, where we can continue, because we don't want our video to be longer than this. Thank you very much for watching.